So if they didn't say that the federal government can make something legal tender, well, they can't. All they can do is coin money. That's it. They can't print money. They can just coin it. But what is it? Well, the money is defined in Article 1, Section 10. It says no state shall make anything but gold and silver coin legal tender of payment of debt. That's it. So the only thing that states can make legal tender is gold and silver. And the federal government can't make anything legal tender. So what's legal tender? Gold and silver. What can the government coin? Gold and silver. That's what they could coin. And now the states can make it legal tender. Now, they did coin pennies and nickels too to make these smaller coins, right? They weren't legal tender. So the states couldn't require you to pay your bills in pennies, right? People used pennies, but they weren't legal tender, right? If you owed somebody $10,000, you couldn't just give him 10,000 pennies. He could refuse to accept that. That's not legal tender. I want gold or silver, right? You had to pay gold and silver. But the government coined nickels and pennies for convenience sake. There is no constitutional authority for the federal government to print money. Now, they did print money for the first time during the Civil War, and it was challenged. They said, hey, this is unconstitutional. You can't do this. Oh, by the way, the first draft or two of the Constitution, in Article 1, Section 8, it actually said Congress shall have the power to coin money and emit bills of credit. But they voted to take that out. I think it was 9-2 or something. They said, hey, well, we don't want this. Let's get rid of it. So it was gone. So they deliberately took out the authority. So anybody who says that coining money means they can print money, no, they can't. They needed to have bills of credit. They didn't have that power. And if coining money meant emitting bills of credit, they wouldn't have had to deny it to the states twice. If saying no state should coin money included bills of credit, they could have left it out. The reason they had to put both in is because they're very different. And the only one that the federal government can do is coin money, and nobody can emit bills of credit. Now, when the federal government did it during the Civil War, they issued greenbacks, which were paper money backed by gold, of course. I mean, nobody would have thought to issue it backed by nothing, right? Like we do now. But they said, hey, is this constitutional? And there was a number of legal tender cases, Knox versus Lee, Hepburn versus Griswold. Forget them all. I've read them all in the past. But if you go back at these cases and you look at it, because now they say, hey, it's constitutional to have paper money. No, the government didn't point to Article 1, Section 8 to say, look, we have the power to emit bills of credit in Article 1, Section 8. They went to the necessary and proper clause and said it was a war. And so it was necessary and proper to save the Union during a war. We couldn't raise taxes. We had to print this money. We had to issue debt to pay for the war. It was an emergency. And so because it was emergency, we could do this. There has never been a court that said they could have done that in peacetime. Now, there were some other legal tender cases because what happened was people started to redeem their notes and the government then reissued the same notes, right, after they were redeemed. So they were already printed. So somebody came in and got their money and the government reissued it. And so somebody challenged that and said, look, the war is over. You can't reissue those notes. It's not an emergency anymore. And the court, I think a bad decision said, look, if the notes are already there, they're there, right? They don't have to retire them. But they can't issue any new ones. There has never been a Supreme Court decision that says the federal government in peacetime can issue bills of credit. And of course, there's never been a Supreme Court decision that says they could just print money with nothing behind it.